All right, today we're going to cut right through all the AI hype and give you a clear, no-nonsense briefing on Microsoft Copilot. We'll get into what it actually is, how it can seriously boost your team's productivity, and of course, what the investment really looks like. Let's dive right in.
So does your day ever feel like you're just fighting a losing battle with your inbox? Or maybe you're stuck in a calendar that's just a wall of back-to-back meetings? If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. This information overload is probably the single biggest drain on productivity right now. We end up spending way more time managing work than, actually doing the work.
And this is where Microsoft is placing its big bet, Copilot. Now, it is so important to understand that this is not just another chatbot, not even close. Think of it as an AI assistant that's deeply woven into the Microsoft 365 apps your team is already using all day, every day. It's really a fundamentally new way of working.
So, what is it under the hood? Well, Copilot brings together two incredibly powerful things. First, you've got the raw intelligence of models like GPT-4. But the second part, and this is the real game changer for business, is that it securely connects to your own company's data through something called Microsoft Graph. Just think of the graph as the central nervous system connecting all your company's emails, files, meetings, chats, everything. That's what lets Copilot give you answers that are relevant to your business, not just random facts from the internet.
Now, here's where it gets really smart in how it separates information. When you use Copilot, you've basically got two modes. Web mode does what you'd expect. It searches the public internet for general info. But work mode, that's your secure, internal search engine. It taps into that Microsoft Graph to answer questions like, hey, what were the key takeaways from last week's Project Sync? Or summarize the emails I got from accounting. This separation is absolutely crucial for both security and relevance.
Okay, so that's the theory, but let's look at how this actually translates into getting more done. We're going to check out 3 core apps where Copilot can make a huge, immediate difference: Word, Excel, and Teams.
First up, Microsoft Word. For so many of us, this is where it all begins. Proposals, reports, you name it. It's also where we can spend hours just staring at that blinking cursor on a blank page. With Copilot, you can just kickstart the whole process. Give it a simple prompt and boom, you've got a first draft of a proposal. You can instantly tell it to rewrite a paragraph to sound more formal or shorter or whatever you need. You can take a massive document and, in seconds, turn it into a quick summary, an FAQ, or even the slides for your next presentation. It's all about crushing writer's block and automating those tedious little tasks.
And this is where the power really hits you. Imagine just feeding Copilot a 40-page contract and asking it this. A task that would take an associate hours to complete, you get done instantly. That's not just a time saver, that's a serious tool for doing your due diligence and managing risk way faster.
Okay, let's move on to Excel. We all know it's the bedrock of business analysis, but let's be honest. For a lot of people, its most powerful features are locked away behind really complex formulas and functions. Copilot essentially gives everyone on your team their own personal data analyst. You don't have to know how to write a VLOOKUP or build a pivot table anymore. You can just ask questions in plain English. You can describe the formula you need, and Copilot will just write it for you. Ask it to spot trends, and it'll analyze the data and even create the charts to show you what's happening. It basically democratizes data analysis for your whole organization.
I mean, think about a strategic question like this. This is something that would normally kick off a whole report building process for an analyst. With Copilot, a sales leader can ask it directly and get immediate, actionable intel to guide what they do next. It's fantastic.
And finally, let's talk about Microsoft Teams, the hub of all our communication. And let's be real, the source of a lot of our meeting fatigue. This is where Copilot really tries to give you your time back. Just think about it. If you're double booked, you can get a summary of the meeting you couldn't make it to. If you join a meeting late, you can just ask Copilot what's been decided so far without having to interrupt everybody. And maybe my favorite feature, it can automatically scan a meeting or a chat and pull out every single action item and who it was assigned to. That alone is a massive win for accountability. Asking a simple question like this in real time can totally change the dynamic of a meeting. It makes sure that everyone is aligned on what actually happened and what the outcomes are before they leave the call. It just makes the whole collaboration process so much more efficient.
Now, everything we've seen so far is about doing single tasks, right? But Microsoft is pushing this way further with something they call agent mode. And this is where it starts to feel less like a tool and more like a true digital colleague.
So here's the crucial difference. The regular Copilot is kind of like a one-shot interaction. You ask a question, it gives you an answer. Done. With agent mode, you give it a more complex task, and it actually works on it, step by step. It doesn't just give you a block of text.
It makes changes, it remembers the context of all your requests, and it keeps refining its work just like a person would.
Let's just walk through how this works. You start by telling it to rewrite a proposal. It does that. Then you follow up with, okay, that's good, now shorten the risk section. It does that too, but without forgetting the first instruction. It holds the entire task in its memory, applying each change on top of the last one. This is a massive leap from just simple Q&A to true collaborative work.
Okay, this all sounds pretty powerful, right? Which, of course, leads to the big question every business leader has to ask. What's the investment here? Let's break down the pricing.
So Microsoft has a few different plans, but for most businesses, it's really going to come down to two main options. You've got a business plan, which is aimed at small to medium-sized companies, and then you have the enterprise plan, which is for larger organizations that need all the advanced security and compliance features.
For those large organizations, the standard price is $30 per user per month. Now, this is really important. This is an add-on. Your employees have to have an existing Microsoft 365 enterprise license first. So when you're doing the budget, you're calculating this cost on top of what you're already spending with Microsoft.
So, we've seen the power and we've seen the price. But before you rush out to roll this out to your teams, there's one absolutely critical piece of homework that every leader needs to focus on first.
And this might be the single most important takeaway from our whole conversation. Copilot is like a super-powered search engine for your company's brain, but it's designed to only show a user content they already have permission to see. The problem? Well, in a lot of organizations, permissions are kind of a mess, right? People have access to old folders and sites they probably shouldn't, and Copilot will absolutely find and surface that content for them.
So this really brings us to the final, crucial question you have to be asking. The technology is here. It's ready. It's incredibly powerful. But its effectiveness, and even more importantly, its safety, depends completely on the health of your data governance. Before you deploy your brand new AI assistant, you have to be absolutely sure your data is ready for it.